Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello everyone. I hope you're okay, inshallah. This session here, we will revise everything we studied in science in the first term in science, grade 5. So be ready. If you find Taqwiya's videos, it means that you're so lucky. Let's start. We will revise everything we take it, as I said, but using the mind map because it helps us to know the connection between the topics that we studied. We will have 5 mind map today. The first one is photosynthesis process, then ecosystem, then factors that affecting the ecosystem, then matter, then mixture and compound. Let's start and don't waste more time. The first one, which is the photosynthesis process. Photosynthesis process is the process where the plants make their own food so they can grow. And of course, like any cooking, like if we cook something in the kitchen, so we need some ingredients. The same for the plant. They need ingredients to cook their food. What they actually need, they need sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water and nutrient. How they got these things? Which part exactly in the plant help them to get these things? We have the first one, which is sunlight. The chlorophyll inside the leaf of the plant absorb the light energy from the sun. And what about carbon dioxide? How it enters to the leaf? It enters to the leaves through stomata, which is a holes or opening, tiny opening in the leaf, allow gases to go in and out from the leaf. So carbon dioxide will enter also to the leaf. We have two things in the leaf now, sunlight and carbon dioxide. We still need what? We need water and nutrient that we put it in the soil. So how it will go from the soil to the plant? The roots of the plant will absorb this water and nutrient. And actually we have a small root here which increase the amount of water that the plant can take it. So now the root here absorbs the water and nutrient from the soil and give it to the stem. But how this water now will go to the leaf? We need to cook in the kitchen, which is the leaf here. So the water and nutrient will go inside the stem to reach to the leaf. Which path exactly inside the stem? Because we have two paths inside the stem. It's inside the xylem. The xylem is a small tubes or vessel inside the stem that allow the water and nutrient to go upward until it reaches to the leaf. Now we have everything we needed. The sunlight will help carbon dioxide and water to mix together, to react together, to give me the plant food. What is the plant food, miss? It's the sugar. Which type of sugar exactly? It's glucose sugar. So now we have the food. Only the food? No, we have another product here, which is oxygen and water vapor. Oxygen and water vapor, they are gases. So how they will go out from the leaves? Simply, we said it, using the stomata, which is the tiny holes in the leaves that allow gases to go in and out. This plant food and oxygen, this is the thing that's very important for not only the plants, we need it as a human, all consumers and all the other organisms on earth depend on this. So we all need it. We have a small note here, which is the soil. Soil is not from the essential need of the plant. How, miss? But if we didn't put this plant in the soil, it will not grow? No, we have another or some types of plant that can grow on other things. Some plant can grow in water, other plant can grow in rock, other plant climb on other plants, so the soil is not really essential. This is the first part here. Then now we cook the food. We have now the sugar. So how we make this sugar go to the other parts of the plant so all the plants will grow? It's by the help of phloem. Where is this phloem? It's the other vessel inside the stem. So now we have two tubes or two vessels inside the stem. One of them, which is xylem, takes the water nutrient upwards. The other one, which is phloem, it takes the sugar to the other parts of the plant so they can grow. When they feed, of course, when we eat, we grow. And xylem and phloem, both of them, we call them the transport system in the plant, which transport the things. But this isn't plant. What about the human? Do we have a transport system? Yes, but it has another name. It's called circulatory system in human. We have a circulatory system that also transport things, but not transport the water, transport other things. What is the circulatory system in human? It consists mainly of heart, blood vessel, and of course the blood. So what is blood vessel, miss? And what is its function? We have two blood vessels inside our body. We have arteries and vein. Like the transport system have xylem and phloem, we have, as a human, we have arteries and we have vein. What is their function here? The blood is moving inside them, inside the artery and inside the vein. The blood is moving inside them. And this blood is carrying things from where to where it depends. If you are an artery, if this blood an artery, so this blood will carry blood that rich in oxygen and nutrients. Imagine the blood like a car, and this car is carrying things from the heart to all the body part. What is the body part? Like our body cell needs what? Our body cell need oxygen and nutrients so they can grow. So this blood here will go from the heart, will pump it to every part of our body and give them the oxygen nutrient they needed. This is the artery. What about the vein? The vein is the opposite path. It takes or it carry the blood that rich in carbon dioxide gas that we need it actually, and waste this from the body part to the heart again. Why it will go back to the heart again? Because we want to get rid of them. So the heart will pump them, will pump the carbon dioxide to the lungs so we can get rid of carbon dioxide, and it will pump the wastes to a special organ we have them to get rid of these wastes here. This is simply the circulatory system of human. Do you still need to learn any other information about photosynthesis process? Yes. We have to know some information about leaves and the stem, which is the kind or the types of leaves and the types of stem. We have two types of leaves. One of them is flat and wide, and the other one is narrow leaves. Flat and wide leaves and narrow leaves. What about kind of stem? We have 5 kinds of stem. The first one, which is wood stem. Wood stem like tree trunk and shrubs. Climb stem like vines or grabs. Tubers, which extend underground like potato. And runners, which run, it's called runners actually because it run above the ground to make a new plant for us. So the stem itself run. And upright stem like most of the flower. This is the 5 kinds of stem. Now, according to this point here, making new plants, what is this process here? We call it reproduction. Reproduction means making new plants. Which part exactly of the plants help to make this process here is the flower. Why the flower? Because the flower produces seed. And if this seed here reaches to the soil and have everything it needed, like the air, water, correct temperature, everything it needed, it will grow and give us a new plant. So flower is the one that's responsible for reproduction. But how the seed will travel from the plant to the soil, how this will happen? We have many ways. We call these ways here by seed dispersal. Seed dispersal. What is this ways here? Look here, guys. We have, for example, some some seed float in the water, so they travel from a place to place using the water. Like what? Like coconut seed, because they hollow from inside, so it looks like a ship. And the other, they can travel by wind. Of course, the heavy things will not travel by wind. So if it travels by wind, it means that it's light seed, like what mist, like maple seed and diddlein seed. And we have another that is stick to animal fur and human clothes. If something is stick to my clothes, it means that it has a spine, like burdock seed. And another, we can eat them. Animals or any organism in general, we can eat them and take the seed and put it in if it's human, so we will eat it and take it and put it in the soil, or when the animal eat it and it goes out with the stool in the soil also, like tomato seed and apple seed. This is some example for the seed dispersal. I think this is everything related to photosynthesis process. So ready for the second mind map? Oh, you're ready, so be with me. The second part or the second concept that we studied the ecosystem. What is the ecosystem? It's an area that contains living things and non-living thing. And of course, they interact together. Anything's left together, so they have to interact together. And of course, if they want to live, they have to have this energy to live. From where all the things that live on Earth have energy to live, it's from the primary source of energy, which is the sun. But some of us take this energy directly, and other they have to take it but indirectly. So give me example, Miss to understand. Let me give you an example. The plant take the light energy from the sun in the photosynthesis process. Remember, we just said it right now, to make their food, so they will have energy to grow. They will change the light energy or the radiant energy in the sun. They will change it into chemical energy in the food that they make it. This is for the plant. But animal, including the human also, we can't take directly the light energy and depend on it and don't eat. We have to eat. So our digestive system will help us to change the food and to have energy from this food, to digest this food and to have energy from this food. Eating plant, eating animal, or eating both of them, I don't care. But when we eat something, do we take all the energy inside this thing? So if I eat a carrot, so I take all the energy inside this plane? No. Only 10% of the energy transfer between the living organisms when they feed on each other. And 90% of the energy will go to the decomposer and back to the soil again. So the plant will take it and start the food chain again. What is decomposer? What is food chain? What is these things that you said it, miss? I will explain it now. Let me speak about the living organism in the ecosystem. We have many types of living organism in ecosystem. We have producer, we have consumer, and we have decomposer. Producer is the only one that make their food by themselves, the only one. And the consumer and decomposer, both of them, they have to feed on another thing. But why we put it in two different categories, I will tell you now the difference between them. But let's take an example for producer first. It's like green plant and like microorganism. This is the two examples that we speak about them in the curriculum about producer. What about consumer? As we said, they can't make their food by themselves. They have to eat another organism to get their energy. And we have three types of consumer: primary consumer, secondary consumer, and tertiary consumer. The primary consumer, like many insects, they feed on plants. So they only eat plant. They can't eat another organism. This is the primary consumer. And secondary consumer, like bird, they feed on primary consumer. Tertiary consumer, they feed on secondary consumer, and it's like crocodile. This is the examples here. There is one more point here. If he asks about the law, if we have like, for example, a food chain, and he asks about the top predator, you will search where is the last organism that feed on them. This is the top predator here. Now let's go to the last category. You have it, which is decomposer. What is decomposer? Decomposer is the one or the organism that carry out the process of decomposition. What is decomposition and how it happens? Let me explain what is decomposition so you will understand. Decomposition, it's a process about decompose the dead organism, like feed on the dead organism. And it happened by two steps. The first one by the help of scavenger, the second one by the help of decomposer. What is the function exactly of each one of them, or how they do this process? Let me explain it. First of all, the scavenger. The scavenger, they help, it's like mommy and the baby. The baby, imagine that the baby here is the decomposer. They can't eat the big things, so we have to cut it smaller pieces to give them this food so they can eat it. The same idea here. The decomposer can't feed on a big dead body, so the scavenger helping them by cutting this dead body into smaller pieces. So the function of a scavenger, they break down the dead organism into smaller pieces. Like what? Like vultures, hyenas, crabs, cockroach, and house flies. This is the scavenger. What about the decomposer? They complete after them. They feed on the rest of this smaller pieces here and change it into nutrients, which will back to the ecosystem again to increase fertility of soil, to make it better for growing. The plant now can absorb it with the water and make the photosynthesis process for us. Like what decomposer mess? Like snail, slugs, earthworms, fungi, bacteria, and melodids. This is the example for decomposer. What happened here exactly in decomposition? That this dead body will be nutrient and it will go back to the soil so we can get benefit of this nutrient here. So this is actually recycling. And instead of just don't get benefit from this dead body, we're recycling the dead body now. So we call this nature recycling factory, which happens because of the decomposer, which the process, or the name of the process itself, it's decomposition process. What is recycling in general? Recycling in general means a process when the people use the wastes and make new products from it instead of throwing it. This is what people do, but it happened in nature here by the help of decomposer, so we call it nature recycling factory. This is everything about the living organism. The last part in this food chain here, it speaks about the energy flow. Let me close this one. So this one will be more obvious for us. Yeah, it speaks about the energy flow. We said that we feed on each other to have an energy. So do we have different things here? Yeah, we have. We have something called food chain and we have something called food web. Both of them explain how the energy flow in the ecosystem, with one difference between them. What is the difference between food chain and food web? Simply, the food chain, it's one path of energy. It's a model that shows one linear set of feeding relationship. Like for example here, this mouse will eat the plant. This snake will eat the mouse. This eagle will eat the snake. So the energy will go from plant to mouse to snake to eagle. One arrow, one linear path of energy here. This is the food chain. In food web, it's a little bit different here. Let me make it bigger so you can see it well. If you watch this one carefully here, you will find that the shark can eat many things, not only one thing. The shark can eat the sea star, at the same time it can eat the butterfly fish, at the same time triggerfish and parrotfish, like many things here. So it's not one way only of the energy to move, it's many ways. So we can say that the model, it's the model that shows many different feeding relationships among the living organism. Many predator for the same prey, many prey for the same predator. What I mean by the word prey and predator, I mean the one that hunt, like the shark is eating the sea star, so the shark is predator, and the sea star is prey. So the one that hunt another animal, we call it predator. The one that eaten, it's hunted or eaten by another one, we call it prey. This is the definition of prey and predator. The algae, for example, here can be eaten by zooplankton and clam. The coral here can be eaten by butterfly fish or triggerfish or parrotfish. So it's many things can eat the same thing. The same prey can be eaten by many predator or the opposite. This is the food web. It consists of many food chains, actually. So this is now everything related to the ecosystem. We learned what is ecosystem. Now we will learn how or what is the factors that affect this ecosystem here. We have actually 3 factors can affect any food chain or any food web or any ecosystem at all. Can affect them badly, in a bad way, or in a good way, whatever. 3 things, which is what mass? It's pollution, human activities, and climate change. Let's finish from pollution first because it's super easy. We have 3 types of pollution may happen: water pollution, air pollution, and soil pollution. When I affect the water or affect the air by maybe this smoke that causes a difficulty breathing for animals, if we have a fire in forest, or throwing things in the soil, all of this a type of pollution. And we have climate change, any changes that happens to the weather, and we studied here 4 things. One of them only will improve the ecosystem, and we have 3 things or 3 examples here that affect the ecosystem badly. It destroy the ecosystem. The one that improve it, which is a gentle rain in desert, because actually in deserts we have a rare rain. We don't have a good rain. So we have a less plant and less animal. If we have a gentle rain, we will have more plants and more animals. So this is good. And here, if we have heavy rain, heavy means a lot of rain. Of course, it causes flooding, which will kill the plants and animals. If we have drought, no water at all, no, this is affect the ecosystem so badly. No water means no plant, means no ecosystem. If we have many top predator, remember the top predator, the last one that eat a lot of organisms, that eat large meat. So this one here, if we have a lot of large number of top predator, they will eat most of the organism, and will harm the ecosystem, of course. This is the climate change. The last one here, and the most important one, I hope we one day change it, which is the human activity. 3 things the human make it affect the ecosystem. Throwing things or wastes into the sea, especially plastic wastes. This is the one that we will speak about it especially. And overfishing and increase the temperature of seawater. Overfishing, like taking a lot of fish from the sea, from the same place, of course, decreasing the number of one organism from any place. Will affect the other food web. So this is something bad, even it will not pollute it. Increase the temperature of seawater. If I increase the temperature of seawater, 2 things can happen. The first one, which is coral bleaching. It means that the coral here will get rid of the algae inside its tissue, and it will turn completely to be white, like this, the top part of this picture here, and it may die at the end if the algae will not return back. If the temperature, it will not return back, so the coral here will die. This is what we call it by coral bleaching. And the second one, which is the microorganism, they will die or they have to move to another place because they only live in a cold water. If they die or they leave wherever, the small fish also will affect it. They will die or leave because the small fish feed on microorganisms. And the seabird feed on the small fish. So of course also they will die or leave to another place. This is for increasing temperature of seawater. Now we're going to speak about throwing wastes into the sea. I will speak about especially plastic pollution or throwing the plastic things. Of course, it will affect all the marine ecosystem, but we will take 2 examples here. The first one is speak about the sea turtle. The sea turtle, one of the cutest animal ever, but they can't differentiate between the jellyfish and between the plastic. So they eat the plastic bag and they thought it's a jellyfish. So this has hurt them a lot. The second one, which is the coral reef. The coral reef, that when they wanna eat, they filter the water to take their food, to ingest their food. And when I throw a plastic bag or anything plastic in the sea, the ultraviolet rays coming from the sun breaks down this plastic here into a very small pieces, even smaller than the grain of rice. We call them microplastic. This microplastic is going down into the coral, and the coral eat it with their food because they are very small, so they can easily go inside the coral, and they thought it's a food also, and they get harmed and dies because of this. Now we know that we are so bad. So how we can solve what we did here? We can solve it by 2 ways. I prefer the second one. We can solve it if we harm any ecosystem, like for example, we destroy a coral reef or something. We can apply something called habitat restoration, like trying to return this habitat or this ecosystem back to its natural state before the harm was done. But this takes money, this takes a lot of effort, and this takes a lot of time. So of course, like to prevent extinction of animal, to prevent losing time and money and effort and so on, so we have to apply a zero plastic lifestyle. It means prevent using of plastic, find another replacement which is healthy. For example, we can use the wooden spoon instead of the plastic one, the clothes bag instead of the plastic one, and so on. Apply a healthy lifestyle. It will be, of course, better. One of the example of habitat restriction, if you remember, we speak about the coral. The coral, if we kill the coral, we can take the small coral, the baby coral, and put them in a place we call it nursery, where we can take care of this coral until it grows. Then we will put it back to that coral reef or its ecosystem so they can dying or having a color now. This is like a way to apply habitat restriction. Wherever we did climate change, or we have a pollution, or we make a bad human activity, any change that any of these change here, they all lead to population change. Population means the number of organisms exist in any place or any ecosystem, the number of one type of species actually. So when we make population change, it means that we make increase or decrease in this number here. This is the population change. Now we finished the first unit actually with everything inside it, and it was an easy and interesting one. So let's start with unit 2, speak about matter, mixture, and everything related to them. And let's start with matter. What is matter and what is everything related to matter? Matter is anything that has mass and volume. Anything, even the human, the air, this laptop here, this is matter. Why? Because it has mass and volume. What is mass and what is volume? Mass is the amount of matter in object. How much things exist in the object, how much particle, the amount of the thing, this is the mass. And volume is the space that you can take it. I take this space now, so nobody can take my space until I move. So this is the mass and this is the volume. Did we learn anything about mass and volume? Yep, we learned some information about them. We learned the units that we use it to measure the mass and volume. If I want to speak about my mass, for example, just an example, my mass is 60 kilogram. So we use the word kilogram to as a unit to measure the mass for the big masses, and the small one we use gram. And for the volume, we use liter, milliliter, and cubic centimeter. This is the unit that we use it to measure volume. We have more information about mass. Floating or sinking don't depend on the masses. So if I have, for example, a big object like a cork, but it's a big in size, but it's not heavy, it's light actually. If I put it in the water, it will float. And even I have something else more, maybe it's big in mass and it has a smaller size like the nail, it will go down. So it doesn't depend on the size. Even I have something heavy like the ship, it will float. If I have something small like a stone or something, it will float, it will sink. So whatever the things, it has big mass or small mass, I don't care. Will not causes floating or sinking. It happens by another property here, but we will not study it. This is the second point here. The next one, which is it changed the shape, will not affect the mass. I have a paper, then I change its shape, I put it in the balance, it still have the same mass, nothing happened. But if I cut this paper into two halves, it will give me different mass. So changing the size will affect the mass, but changing the shape will not affect the mass. Pay attention to this point. Now we studied this point here. This matter here, it's made of what? This matter is made of a tiny particle, which is the building unit of any matter. And this tiny particle here, we can't see them with our eyes, so we need microscope to see them. And if we need to teach them to other students, we need to teach them using model. So because they can't see them, so using model will make the things better. Microscope. We learned that we have two types of microscope: regular microscope, electron microscope. The regular one, which is the light one, it's a good one, but the electron one is more powerful. We use it for the things that more smaller, the things that we can't see it using the regular one, like the particle of blood cell, for example. This is so hard for the regular one to see it. This is the microscope. The models. What is model? It's a copy that's similar to the real thing. So I make a copy of the Earth, for example, which we call it globe, or I make a copy for a germ or bacteria, or for the solar system to study it. This is the model here. What is importance of model? Why we make models actually? We need to make model to teach something about the real thing, teach it to the students. This is will make the teaching more funny, more better, and they will understand more better if they see the things. See and understand how the things can work, like how the volcano erupts, how the plane can fly. Learn with the right size exactly, because we can't deal with the small size, the size of bacteria and germ. We can't deal with the big size like the solar system. So we can make the thing with the right size that we can use it. Know what we couldn't see, the things that we never saw it, so we will not know it. Now we can know it using the model. This is the second point here. Next point speaks about the properties of matter. If I need to describe any matter, like describing your laptop, your book, whatever, describing any matter, I can describe it using physical properties and chemical properties. What is the difference between them? Simply, the physical one that describe the thing from outside, how it looked like. You use your senses to describe it actually. So describing the color, for example, describing the shape, the odor, the smell, the texture, the hardness, is it soft or hard, and the temperature and the size. This is physical properties. But chemical property describing how the thing can react with other, like the ability to burn. If I burn this paper, can it burn? So it has the ability to burn or no? And the ability to rust. If I have nail and I leave it in the air with water, so it will react and to rust or no? So the reaction with other, this is chemical property. Just describe the thing, how it looked, the appearance of it. This is the physical property. This is the difference between them. Next one speaks about the changes that may happen to the matter. I have physical property and I have chemical property. So when I make a change to the matter, I can make this a change in the physical properties, or I can make it in the chemical properties. So we can classify it into physical change and chemical change. What is the difference between physical and chemical change? It's one main difference. Of course, we have many differences between them, but one main difference, it's really the most important one of them. In the physical property, I don't have a new matter. I just change the appearance. Like if I put some makeup for Spider-Man and I wear like Spider-Man, I will not be Spider-Man. I just to change how I look. This is the physical change simply. Like have a paper, then I cut it and I ask you, what is this? You tell me paper. Nothing happened. I have a paper, then I color it. I will ask you, what is this? You tell me it's a paper. Even it has another color now, but still it's a paper. But when I have a new matter, this is a chemical change. Because when I have a new matter, I change the chemical properties. The structure of the matter will be different. It will not be the same matter anymore. This is one of the main differences between them. But can you help me, Miss, to have some evidence to tell me if this is a physical or chemical change? Yeah, I will help you. We have actually 3 evidence to detect the physical change and 5 evidence for the chemical one. In the physical change, if I find a change that happened to the state of matter without any other changes, so this is physical. Like I have ice and it melts, it becomes water. So this is just a change in the state of matter, but it's still the same thing. It's the same water here. H2O, nothing happened to the structure. And the second evidence that helped us to know that this is a physical change, which expected a change in color. Pay attention to the word expected a change in color. Expected, so I color this paper with a red color. So you expect it will be red. If it will not be red, so this is not like it's unexpected thing. I color it with a blue one, so it have to be blue. I paint the wall here behind me. I paint it with a black color, so it have to be black. This is expected a change in color. If I did this, so this is a physical change. A change in size and shape, like cutting paper, like cutting fruits to make a fruit salad, for example, like changing the shape of the thing, like cut the paper into heart shape. This is all of it. This is a physical change. This is evidence to help us to know that this is a physical change. What about now the chemical change? We have 5 evidence to detect the chemical change. Unexpected change in color. This is unexpected. So don't forget this one. This is a big difference between the physical and chemical. Unexpected, it means you put a color, but it gives you another color. So the iodine, which has like a red color or orange color, when I put it in a cornstarch, which had a white color, like you expect it will be red or orange, the same color of iodine. But when we put it, it gives us dark blue color, which is unexpected changing color. It means we had a new material formed with different structure. So this is a chemical change. Formation of gas bubble, the second one. If we have gas bubbles, it means we have a different material. Like what? Must give me example to understand. Like putting vinegar with baking soda, give some gas, which is carbon dioxide gas. Actually, it's a new material here. So the bubbles help us to know we have a new material. So this is chemical change. Next one, which is formation of a strong odor. The example here is milk sour. When I leave the milk outside the fridge for several days, the odor of the milk will change. This way, it helps us to make yogurt, actually. So we will have a new different material. So this is a chemical change. See the heat, feel the heat or see the light. This is also a chemical change. How it's chemical change? Give me example. Actually, this word here means burning, because when I burn, I will have fire, which has a heat and light at the same time. So like burning a match or burning paper or whatever, burning anything, will it change this wood or paper or anything? It will change it to be ash. The black material here, we call it ash. So this is a new different material here. So in burning, we change the structure or we change the material itself into a new material. The last evidence we have it changed the taste. Cooking using fire changed the taste. Like cooking a cake in the oven, not just mix the ingredients, no, put it in the oven. So the taste of the cake after we cook it is different from the taste of the ingredients. This is a changing in the structure of the material itself. Using the heat in cooking like breaks down everything in the material and make a new different material for us. Like making the bread, this is a chemical a change also. So now you know how to know if any change is physical or chemical. Now we're going to speak about some example for some material we studied them and what is their useful uses. We studied 5 material, 5 matter: helium, copper, steel, glass, and rubber. Each one of them, we will know some of their properties and what is their usage. So, for example, in the helium, we have light gas. Sorry, this is the properties here. It's a light gas, lighter than air, so it can go up. And it's not poisonous, it's not flammable, so it's safe for people to use it. So because it's light gas, so we can use it to fill the balance and plums, so it go up when we have festival or party or something. We can use the helium. It will go up because it's lighter than air and it's not poisonous and flammable, so it will not be it's not toxic, so it's a safe for the people to use it. The next one, which is copper. Copper is a flexible material. It's a good conductor for heat and good conductor for electricity. It's the word here or the process here we call it conduction. It has a good conduction here of both of them, heat and electricity. So we can use it to make the electric wire to conduct electricity well. And we can also use it to make the cooking pans because it's a good conductor of heat. This is for the cover. The next one, which is steel. Steel. It's something hard and strong, so we use it in the things that we need it to be hard. Like we use it in making the screwdrivers and the hammers because we need it to be hard. The next one, which is the glass. It's transparent. If I wear glasses right now, I can see you from this glass here. So it's transparent. You can see what's behind it. And it's also smooth. This is the glass. So we can simply use it in making the windows and making the eyeglasses because it's transparent. And the next and the last one, which is rubber. Rubber. It's waterproof and it's flexible. Like we can use it in making tires, gloves, and athletic shoes because of these two properties here. Imagine that I wear gloves and I clean the dishes, for example. So the water will not go inside my hand because it's waterproof. This is the meaning of waterproof. And flexible, so you can bend it. This is the meaning of these two words here. We finished from speaking about these 5 properties of matter. The next one speaks about the states of matter. We have 3 states of matter, solid, liquid, and gas, and they are super easy. What is the difference between solid, liquid, and gas? Simply, miss. Let's act them and say the difference between them and act at the same time so you will remember from the action if you forget the word. The solid is a lazy person. Actually, the solid is a lazy and at the same time they are in a winter. So they go close to each other. The particle of solid, they go close to each other like they are freezing. So they want to be together in the same carpet, and they are hard. But the liquid, they have some spaces between them. They are not held together, not very close, not very far. And the gas, like every particle of the gas hate the other particle. They don't want to stay in the same room. Every gas, every particle of gas alone, so they have a lot of spaces between them. They don't heal together. What about the energy? The solid is a lazy one, so they have least energy. In the liquid, everything actually in the liquid is in between. But in the gas, they have a lot of energy, like this is an energetic person. And for the movement or the speed, the movement of the particle gas, they just vibrate around their place, like they just move like this, vibration only. For the liquid, they move more faster, imagine that it's a wind, like a water, maybe wave or something. But the gas, like a crazy man, like they move very fast everywhere in all directions with very fast speed. This is the gas, the crazy one. For the spreading, if I have something solid and I put it like this one here, and I put it here in any container, it will not move. It will not move, so it will not spread. This is what I mean by it will not move. It will not spread. It is the particle here together, so it will not spread. But for the liquid, if I just pour some liquid here in my hand, or in the ground, they will move a little bit. They will slide over another. the particle of liquid, they will slide over another to take the shape of the container, but they will not fill the container. They have a fixed volume, but they will take the shape of the container when they spread. But the gas, they spread to fill any container. If they fill the container, it means that they will take the shape and volume of the container. They will change both of them according to the container. So we can say simply that the solid have a fixed volume and shape. The liquid have a fixed volume but no fixed shape. And the gas, both of them will change according to the container. The last point we have it here, which is arrangement. Arrangement, it depends on the shape, both of them depend on each other here. The arrangement of the particle. In the solid, the only one that have a regular pattern. They organize the particle here like an army. They organize, they arrange it. But in the liquid and gas, both of them, they don't have a specific shape or a specific arrangement. Every particle like stay in a place, no specific arrangement for them, so they don't have a definite shape in general. This is the difference between solid, liquid, and gas. Next one speaks about the changes that happen to these states of matter. If we have something solid, it can change to liquid, and the liquid can change to gas, and in the opposite way. To change the solid to liquid, we call this process melting. Change the liquid to gas, we call it evaporation. Evaporation. And both melting and evaporation, both of them need heat to happen. If you remember is it need heat or to increase temperature or decrease temperature? Remember example, and it will remind you directly with if you will need heat or you will need to cool. I have an ice cream. This ice cream will melt. When it will melt? It will melt when I heat it, simply. So changing solid to liquid, liquid to gas needs heat. The opposite here, which is change the gas into liquid or liquid into solid. This is here, condensation, gas to liquid. This is condensation, liquid to solid. This is freezing. And both of them need to cool, to cool. Another more information, we take it here, the freezing point of water. It's the point or the temperature where the water starts to freeze, to change to solid, and it happened at 0 Celsius exactly. The freezing point of water at 0 Celsius. But more than 0 Celsius, like it's 1, 2, 3, this is a liquid state. This is a liquid state. If we reach in the water, if we reach to 100, it means we started to boil, so we started to change to be gas. This is the 3 changes or the changes that happens to the matter. The next point, we take it about matter, which is the career or the jobs that depend on measuring matter. We studied 4 jobs depend on matter here, or depend on measuring matter in their job here. The first one, architects and builder. To build our home, they need to measure the length, the width of the wall, and so on to measure the home, to build it. So this is the first one. We have the baker to cook things, especially a delicious cake. If they want to cook things to us, so they have to know the correct ingredients, the mass and the volume of the things. So this is the baker. The scientist, of course, scientists everywhere, all the type of scientists, they need to measure things. For example, he gave us 3 examples of scientists here. Paleontologist, the one that's responsible for measure the fossils, and space scientists to measure the mass of the planet and so on, the volume of them, everything about the planet. And the next one, marine biologist, the one that study the organism inside the ocean. For example, like study or measure the speed of sound of dolphin and whales and the marine organism. This is just one example, but of course they do a lot of things in measurement. And the last one, which is cartographers. What is cartographers? The one that draw the map of the earth and the moon and everything for us. They make map for us, like the city map and like the marine chart. They make a lot of things for us, and they have to use measurement, of course, when they draw these things. Next one, which is the type of material. If I need to build a home, I have to choose the correct material or the correct type of matter that I have to use it in this home. And this is depend on my climate. Where is this home exist? Is this home in a desert? It's a desert home, or it's a cold weather home, or it's a tropical rainforest home. Where is this home? To choose the correct type of material that I can use it to make the roof. If this home in the desert, so I will make the roof from desert stone and I will make it flat. Why? Because in the desert we have dust and dirt and sand everywhere. So we have to protect the home from making this dust and dirt to enter to our home. Next one, if we are in a cold weather home. Cold weather home means we have rains and snow. So we will make our roof ceramic bricks and we will make it inclined like this one here. It will not be flat, it will be inclined. So it will allow the rain, the snow go easier down. It will go easier down if we make it inclined and we make it something smooth like it's ceramic. So we did this why? To protect it from rain and snow. Next one, which is tropical rainforest home. We make it inclined too, and we make it from leaves and stick. Why? To protect it from animal getting inside. How leaves and the stick will make the animal not get inside? Simply, if you remember, you studied something called adaptation before. Like if some animal change their color, so why they do this? To escape from the enemies, to escape by look like the environment. The same idea. If my home exists in the rainforest, so if I make this home look like the trees, this is like camouflage, like escaping from animal by making this home look like the environment. This is why we make it from leaves and the stick. The next one, which is measure some properties of matter. We know we have many properties of matter and we studied them in this point here. So how we can measure these properties of matter using a specific tool, like I can use the thermometer to measure the temperature, the degree of coldness or hotness, and we can use measuring cup to measure the volume. We can use also the ruler and the measuring tape to measure the length, and the last one we can use balance to measure the mass. Finally, we finished from this map, and we have the last map for today, which speaks about if I mix two material or more, it gives me what? If I mix two material or more, it gives me one of the two things, mixture or compound. What is the difference between them, miss? If I mix two material and they don't give me a new substance, so they don't combine chemically, they don't change the structure, they don't make another chemical properties, they just combine physical, change some of the physical property like changing the size, for example. Now we have a mixture. Each material in the mixture keep its own properties. Like what mixture? Like mixture of gases like the air, like mixture of solid like salt and pepper, mixture of liquid like oil and water. This is some example of mixtures here. This is the mixture. What about if I mix two material and they give me a new different substance with different chemical properties? So they combine chemically together and they give me another structure, a new matter with another structure here. So this is a compound here. And actually, because we have a new substance, so it will be hard to separate it. So it's most of the compound irreversible reaction, but most of the mixture reversible. And we can separate the mixture easy. We studied only two ways of separation in mixture, which is filtration and evaporation. But before I explain what is filtration and evaporation, let's take this note here. the total mass before I mix any material equal to the total mass after I mix it. Even I make mixture or compound, even I make like a new substance or I didn't make a new substance, whatever. In both of the cases here, the total mass before equal to the total mass after. This point here is super important. I hope you understand it. Let's now speak about filtration and evaporation. What is the difference between them and when we can use both of them? Filtration is used when I want to filter the smaller particle from the bigger one. So it's something doesn't dissolve in water, so we use filtration, like sand and water. Sand, big particle, water is a small particle. They will not dissolve in each other, so we can use filtration by this way. And evaporation, we use it in the material that evaporate at different temperature. Let's say that the small thing that dissolve in a water, like the salt in the water, like the sugar in a water, it disappear between the particle. So we can't use filtration, we have to use evaporation. And to understand better filtration and evaporation, we use the both of them here to separate the mixture of the ocean or the seawater. Seawater is a mixture of big things and the small thing, like it's a mixture of living organism and non-living thing like sand, rock, and like salt, minerals, gases, many things inside the seawater. And we need to drink the seawater because it's a big amount of water in Earth and we don't have a lot of drinkable water or fresh water in Earth. So we have to clean it so we can drink it. The process of cleaning this water to drink it, we call it desalination process. What is desalination process, miss? It's a process of removing the salt from the water, from the sea water or from the ocean water so we can drink it. Actually, it's removing everything from the water so we can make it fresh water and we can drink it. Why we can't drink the salt? Why we just can't take this water that contains salt and drink it? The salt is very harmful to human. The salt is doing what? It makes hydration. Hydration means our body will lose water fast and we will not get benefit of this water, and our body will stay like need of water, more water and more water, and we can't get benefit of the water that we drink it. This is the importance of the desalination. Now, how desalination happens? It happens by 3 steps. The first one, when we apply filtration, when we take the water here from the ocean and we filter it from the big things like the any living organism like the sand, the rock, the big things. Now the water will pass here to the next step, and this water contains salt and mineral. We need to like separate the water from salt and mineral. How we can do this? Using the heat energy, a lot of heat energy. We will evaporate the water, leaving the salt and mineral. Salt and mineral go back to the ocean again, and water will change to be gas. This is evaporation. So filtration first, then evaporation next. This gas will enter to this tube here. We will cool the gas. So when I cool the gas, it changed to liquid. And this process, we call it condensation, the third step. Condensation changes the gas to be liquid. And now it's ready, so you can drink water now. This is desalination. It looks like it's a very important like a process. But does it has any problem when we apply it? Yep, it has 3 problems actually. It needs a lot of energy when we apply it, especially when we make the evaporation. It needs a lot of heat energy to apply evaporation. It's very expensive. It needs money. Everything is very expensive actually. It leads to environmental problems. What is these environmental problems? We have 2 examples here. When we absorb the water from the ocean here, we said that some living organisms go with it. So we filter the water from these living organisms. The small organism here they will hurt or they will die because of taking the water inside this tube here. Some of them will die. So this is one of the environmental problem that happens. The other one, when I finish from evaporating the water, the salt and mineral will go back to the ocean again. It's actually large amount of salt and mineral that will go back to the ocean. This large amount will hurt the organism here. It's very dangerous to the marine life here. We finished now everything related to desalination, and we finished actually everything related to science. I hope you find it easy. I hope this mind map helped you, and you can take these links and you can use it, of course. So happy that I give you this session, and see you with another session, inshallah, next time. Goodbye.